Welcome to Throw Off the Lines, the podcast where we navigate life's changes, explore new horizons, and embrace the journey. I'm your host, Stephanie York, an executive coach with a passion for charting new courses on the water and in life. Ready for some total change? Let's dive in. Hey there, and thanks for checking in to Throw Off the Lines again today. I am covering a topic that was actually very popular, called emotional hoarding, and talking about the effect of the emotions around hoarding and how we hold on to feelings and stuff. And a lot of people listen to it. So I really wanted to cover a little bit more about stuff, why we have it and what to do about it, and go over some more techniques. I love to know fact-based why I do things and why, there's a lot of facts based around recovery and why we become addicted to substances and dopamine. I have a whole episode on dopamine, and I think it's really important that we understand why we purchase so much stuff, where it came from, that we're being programmed to do this, and understanding it's a uniquely American thing. So this episode's for everyone, and I'm guilty of falling prey to the need and desire to buy things I do not need. And I push back on it a lot, but I also grew up really, really poor. So I have the advantage of having had very little to purchase with, and I can go into that a little bit later in the podcast. But, the buildup of stuff and acquiring more things is very uniquely American. And roughly 80% of the world's self-storage facilities are located in the U.S., according to a guy from CBRE. The self-storage industry is one of the biggest beneficiaries of Americans' inability to let go. And on average, people rent their units for 14 months, though many units remain rented for years. I knew an elderly gentleman whose wife passed, and he ended up selling their home, and he moved all their possessions into 3 separate storage units. And he rented those for over 10 years. I don't know what happened to him after that, but he was always paying on these 3 storage units with all their stuff in it. And people even forget what they have stored. And I don't want to go into the loss of cost or use, but if you've got 5 tablespoons inside a storage unit that you're not using, you're paying, the value of those are not increasing as you continue to pay more for them. So we have too much stuff and it's overwhelming. A hoarding disorder is a mental health condition that is, the difficulty to discard possessions, and it affects about 2% of the U.S. population. But, that sounds 2%. Oh, that's not much, but that's 6,800,000 people who hoard. And that doesn't count storage units. Then the fact that 6% of those over 70 are hoarding a lot. They are having larger issues about hoarding, and it's leading to health and safety and social issues. People won't invite people into their home, or they won't leave their home because they have this problem. And it weighs on all of us. And, if our parents have too much stuff, I was taking care of my father near the end of his life, and he was a very minimalist. And still, after his passing, we had a lot of possessions to go through, and he hadn't said who he would like them to go to or anything. And so all these possessions, and I've talked to other people through my coaching, a parent might pass or somebody has to move, and all of a sudden there's so much stuff to deal with. And a lot of it only had an emotional value to the person who purchased it. It doesn't have a real life value to anyone else. So it's just a lot of stuff. So let's talk about why we as Americans buy so much. There was a lot to do with post-war economic policies. After World War II, the U.S. government really wanted to promote consumer spending to stimulate the economy and to prevent the Great Depression return. And part of that is, the wives were working in the industry, and then when the men came back from war, they wanted the family nuclear unit to work out better. And they said, it's American to buy appliances, buy all this stuff. And then the advertisements, if you ever get to watch them, the ads in the 50s were phenomenal. And all these new age, things that people had access to. And you want the newest dishwasher. It wasn't even a dishwasher. It was a washing machine. And it's really fascinating to watch how much consumerism was pushed on us and how it was packaged. And at the time, too, mass production and new products was just coming online. In the 1920s, we started to see the rise of mass production. and conveyor belt systems. There's new products, new technologies. They were available to a much wider audience. When I was young, we got the Sears Roebuck catalog in the summer, and we didn't have department stores around us up in rural Ohio. And I grew up on a farm, so we got to go through the Sears Roebuck magazine, and we could pick out our clothes that we were going to buy for school that year. And for Christmas, we could pick out Christmas presents, that toys and things like that weren't available in local stores, but we could get them because they were available, they were being mass produced, and they were being shipped out by Sears. And the sophisticated advertising techniques that further fueled this consumerism, it created a culture of desire, and it made people want the latest products. You have to fit in. Hey, you'll look classier, you'll be more successful if you buy this. They really tapped into psychology, starting in the 1920s, to influence our purchasing, and advertising and marketing has never slowed down. They pick colors, they flash images. There's so many ways that they influence you through advertising and marketing, you don't even know it. And then consumerism is a cultural idea for us. The idea of human beings as consumers became commonplace in the early 1900s. And the consumption is now frequently seen as a principal role in the world. We are consumers in America. You'll often hear people along political lines say, I'm going to buy this stuff, and it's my right as an American to buy anything I want and buy more of that. And it becomes a battle cry. I have every right to be a consumer, and they're being sold that idea, and it can change. We can change these things. Because it's weighing down on us. Economic growth and stability, consumer spending is a major driver of the U.S. economy, and it does contribute to economic growth and stability. So the consumer price index, the consumer confidence index, all that's shared frequently on our news, on our national news. And we always read, okay, how did the stores all do at Christmas time? How's our economy looking? And it's all based on our consumption of products. We also are a large, diverse, and wealthy population, which we make it we're a top consumer in the entire world. A lot of that's shifting right now. We're going through some tumultuous times, but we as consumers already have a lot of stuff, and we're all being fear-mongered into thinking we have to buy more because we're going to have a limited supply. So our consumption is going to have to slow down. And I personally think it's a really good thing. Also, the use of widespread credit and the ability to build debt and survive with debt, it further enabled us to purchase more. So think about the credit card debt that you have and the fact that a lot of people don't pay off their debt to zero every month. They've gotten more and more comfortable with sometimes what is considered crushing debt. And we as Americans are told, you can handle debt, you can just pay it off later. I can't remember. I think that you can order on DoorDash now, and you can make your DoorDash delivery dinner an installment payment plan. So I can get McDonald's delivered to me, and I can pay it in 4 installments. And it's scary that is being communicated to people out there. So the level of optimism about our economy plays a significant role in shaping our behaviors. So we are told that, wow, if the stock market's down and things are down, we should go out and buy more. And I don't know that that's actually the answer. So I just want to address, I don't want to address the political stuff. I want to address what we as people need to do to be healthier and to understand why our desire to own things that we don't use is so strong and so compulsive, and it is a form of addiction. It's a dopamine addiction frequently. It's an emotional hoarding. If I give up this stuff, who am I? It's an identity with possessions. It's kind of crazy. So I wanted to dig in a little bit into some of the reasons why we hoard a lot, psychological needs and desires. So we have a pursuit of happiness. Many consumer behaviors are driven by the desire to feel good and achieve a sense of fulfillment, even if it's temporary. We're told constantly you should want to feel good all the time, which is why escapism is such a huge thing around the world, but definitely in America. People are overeating, people are over drinking, people are using drugs. Marijuana is becoming legal more and more, and it's another escapism. I'm not putting down people's behaviors. I'm just saying that I know a lot of people who struggle with overeating, overspending, overdrinking, overusing, and it's the pursuit of happiness. I should be happy. I deserve to be happy. We're sold this idea that it's bad to be in uncomfortable feelings. And so consumer behaviors are driven by that desire to feel good and achieve a sense of fulfillment. And we're told we're fulfilled if we purchase and if we possess. There's also a lot of social status and identity. Possessions can be used to signal social status to others, express individuality, and you fit into a particular group or culture. And we see it online with influencers. We see it on news. We see celebrities endorsing products. And, they're trying to pay their bills. They're trying to get a job. It's their job is to be the face of something. So it makes sense that they are. But I know people who don't have any money, but they identify themselves with, say, Louis Vuitton. And they have a Louis Vuitton bag, and they have a suitcase, and they have clothing, and they're buying at a very, expensive pieces to be the identity is I'm a valuable person because I have this Louis Vuitton stuff. So a lot of people wrap their identity in their possessions. And that, again, is I'm going to be happier if I'm perceived to be a successful person. I'm not going to touch that one in this call, but understanding that if you're buying too much, check out where you feel that puts you socially as far as status goes, and how much of your identity is a part of shopping and purchasing and having possessions. So then there's also the novelty and excitement. And I think that this is way more important. I know I have a lot of family members that get excited. They're not really happy in their lives. They don't have hobbies. They don't have stuff that they're passionate about. They don't have purpose. So if they go out and there's a sale, and my mom is one of these, if there's a sale, I'm going to buy these 5 or 6 things, and they're going to go in a bag. They're going to go in my car. I'm going to forget that bag's there. And then the next time I'm going to go in, I'm going to buy more. And then we undig stuff, and here's bags of things that are now over a year old with the tags on them. It's too late to return them. And the novelty and excitement wore off, and the dread and the heavy feeling of, I did it again. I have too much stuff. That's addictive behavior, but the psychological need to purchase things is because of the novelty and excitement as well. And that's a dopamine rush. I've got a whole episode on dopamine, and dopamine release, the act of buying something can trigger the release of dopamine. And that's associated with pleasure and reward, and it leads to craving more purchases. And it needs to be stopped the same way you would stop a sugar addiction. So there's also the fear of missing out. You see other people with other products and experiences, and you get this sense of urgency. Oh, those people are traveling to Greece. I need to go somewhere and take amazing pictures of myself doing something fantastic. But if I don't have the money right now to do that, should I be doing that? Maybe I should be going through my closet. Just kidding. But we have to really address all these different issues. These are all going to be in the show notes. So when you're purchasing too much, are you trying to have social status? Is your identity tied to the things that you have? Are you feeling excited when you go out and buy something new? And did you need that thing, or did you buy it for the excitement of the newness? Are you looking for that dopamine hit? Are you afraid if I don't have the newest wide leg jeans that are high-waisted for summer that I'm not going to fit in and people are going to think I have old clothes? And then buying can be a way to cope with stress or boredom or negative feelings, although that's a temporary situation. But I do know that the people in my life who've been hoarders that have purchased things they don't need, they are depressed, they are stressed, they are feeling like they're missing out, and they go out and they are purchasing things, and it's exciting, and I've got something in my life. So really think about when you're buying, are you using that as a coping mechanism? Are you trying to fill something inside of yourself by buying things that maybe you should go out and make friends, go for a walk and listen to a podcast, learn something new, and get experiences and learn to not wrap up so much of your happiness in possessions. And, a lot of us also reward and celebrate. We purchase items that can be used as a way to reward ourselves and celebrate special occasions. I'm not against that at all. I'm more about you possibly thinking about something that you need to reward yourself with. I really would like this one thing. And then, okay, once I achieve this, then I'll get that for myself. And to pick substantial celebrations to reward yourself with. So we have to definitely always look at marketing and advertising. And, targeted advertising where social media and other platforms are super personalized ads. They increase the perceived value of products and they make them seem more desirable. And then if we align ourselves with certain influencers and certain brands, and then we see, oh, that brand just had a new thing out and it's only going to have 500 of them. I've got to get that. Or that person looks so amazing in that outfit. I know that I would look amazing, or I want to feel like that makes me feel, and I'm going to go buy that thing. And we do a lot of emotional appeals through our marketing and advertising, such as joy, fear, trust, nostalgia. That's a big one. Pride, empathy, and all of those things are used to influence us. They also create scarcity through advertising, limited time offers, discounts, loyalty programs, and that can create a sense of urgency and make people feel like they need to buy something immediately. I often tell my clients, don't purchase products at conferences when you go, because those deals are going to be available to you afterwards. Sit and think, what do I have that's just like this? What else do I need? And then let's work together on deciding whether that's something that you need to have. Social comparisons, we're always comparing ourselves to our neighbors. We're feeling judged. We're judging others. When truly, to be happy and purposeful, it's getting rid of judging altogether. If you stop judging yourself based on what other people have and don't care what other people have or think about you, it is such a big deal. And stop doing it altogether. And then demonstrating value. Buying certain items can be a way to show off to others and project an image of success or status. But truly successful people don't brag about what they have. They don't show what they have. They aren't trying to impress other people with what they have. They have it. And we all know those people who are quietly confident, and learning to be confident in your own skin without having to project confidence falsely through purchasing or identifying with a product, but instead identifying with yourself takes work. But most of my podcasts are about that internal work. So go back and start listening to some of that. Another thing that influences us a lot is instant gratification. I had a bad day. I'm stressed. I'm going to go purchase this thing. I need that instant gratification to make me happy. But it doesn't last for very long. It's a sugar high. And now you don't have the money and you have something that you may not even need. And then product availability. There's an abundance of products available, which makes it easier to acquire more things. And I've got documentaries that I really want you to listen to. It's all about, there's a woman who was being interviewed who worked for Amazon, and it was about Amazon's whole model at first was book sales, but then they quickly realized and they pivoted. The shorter the amount of time they could put between an item you want and when you can get it, the less likely you are to think about whether you need it or not. And now look at the billions and billions of dollars that company has. And the owner is now one of the most wealthy people in the world because they eliminated the time that we usually take to consider value or need. And what you need to do is put stuff in your cart on Amazon, sure, but don't buy it yet. Take a day and think about where else could I source that? Could I source that from somewhere local? I'm going to do a whole episode on how locally purchased items are better for your community. And then we need to learn to let go. And it's often really difficult to let go of things. And for all the above reasons, we are taught from birth that we want these things. We're taught we're supposed to want these things, that it's American to want these things. It's American to consume. It's American to gluttonously keep purchasing. And when we're fighting an entire lifetime of messages, it's definitely hard to let go of things because they have value and we worked hard and we have debt because of them. So why would I get rid of them? I fight with this all the time. So whether it's past experiences, relationships, or possessions, the emotional attachments and the identity and fear of the unknown or sense of security that having those things present makes it the most difficult. So let's dig a little deeper into explanation. So emotional attachment, and I have that whole episode on emotional hoarding. We develop strong connections with people and possessions and even routines as they provide a sense of identity, comfort, and security. And hoarders that I've talked to, again, because I have some relatives that are hoarders, and I help my clients who might have problems with hoarding. And part of it is I have all this stuff and I feel safe because I have it, because owning it gives me value. It's like sitting on top of a pie, like a bank account, and the possessions feel like a bank account of feelings and things that are irreplaceable. And that's what keeps them from getting rid of anything. And then there's the fear of the unknown. Letting go can feel like you're losing control or stability, and it can lead to anxiety, especially if it means uncertainty or change. And then their identity. Some people struggle to let go of painful memories or relationships because they believe that what has happened to them is part of their identity. So rumination, our brains are wired to think negative thoughts and experiences rather than positive ones, making it harder to move on. So you will sit here and say, if I get rid of that stuff, I might need it in the future. And when we're hoarding or we're struggling with getting rid of possessions, we tend to really feel negatively about letting go. When I want you to start thinking about the freedom that comes from letting go. You're decluttering and the freedom of, I don't have to have 15 pairs of flip-flops. I don't have to have 15 pairs of tennis shoes. I don't have to have 15 pairs. We don't have to have 15 pairs of anything, but a lot of us do. And instead of worrying about, well, if I get rid of half of my flip-flops, I won't have the pink ones to go without that outfit or the green ones to go with that outfit. And we'll talk about more techniques on how to whittle down clothing, and trying to work on not having negative thoughts. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about in our solutions section is going to be about ending negative thoughts, and all my other podcasts are about that too. So guilt and regret. We have difficulty with letting go, and it can be related to emotions like guilt, regret, or sadness and anger, and even shame. I have a whole episode on shame. I have information on guilt and dealing with regret. So we need to move past these things. There's also an endowment effect. We tend to value possessions more highly once we own them, making it harder to let them go. So that little figurine that might have a cracked off hand came from, I don't know, you found it when you were 15 in the woods and you've got feelings about it. And you've endowed it with $1,000 worth of value when in the open market it would be trash. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of that, but you can't have 1,500 of those things. So how much value are we endowing our possessions? And I'm recently going through this. What is this worth? Why do I have 10 of these things? And then past experiences. Whether positive or negative, we can create strong emotional ties that make it difficult to let go of something. Maybe you had a parent pass. I had this happen. My father passed. And I had with me a sweatshirt that he had worn. I had never seen him wear it, but I knew it was in his possession, and I took it home with me, and I held on to this sweatshirt for 2 years. And I didn't wear it. It didn't fit me. It's not a thing that's for me. And I was endowing the emotions I had for my father with that particular piece of clothing. And later on, I gave it to my brother who I knew would wear it. But I had given it feelings because I had attached my dad to it, but my dad wasn't attached to it. I have other things that I remember my father through, but I had strong emotional ties to this sweatshirt, and I ended up being able to gift it to somebody else and move past it. There's also trauma. Your brain may become more vigilant for threat and less able to let go and relax and not hoard if you've experienced trauma. Especially, I come from an extremely poor background. And having possessions was really hard. We didn't have a lot. And I had to use and reuse. I wore my brother's clothes for a long time. And we have to move past that and say, you know, my past experiences and the trauma and the holding on to things and feeling threatened if I don't have enough stuff, I'm not going to make it. I have to work through those feelings without possessions. Also codependency. Leaving isn't always the first option because the strong connection makes it hard to let go. But we can be codependent with our possessions as well. So you can change your mind and change your or our whole entire world by, but because I traveled a lot sailing around the world, I have to keep my things small and light. And because I've moved away from my marriage, moved away from a big house, I'm a bit more transient. I do have things I store. I feel too many possessions. I cut all my possessions in half, then in half again, then in half again. I'm very aware of all the stuff I have. And in the back of my mind, my things have taken on kind of a meaning of a life, a family I must take care of. I'm slowly shifting my mindset away from my possessions are not my family. Those things I have in storage are not who I am. They're not my identity. And having grown up with a hoarder, it's overwhelming to be around or deal with hoarders or hoarding. And now I'm not a neat freak or a fanatic. I want to make my life smaller and more manageable. So every day I must find one thing to throw away or donate. And that's something I've been doing for the last year and a half. Every day I'll go through, I don't care, my desk drawer, and I'll find one thing I haven't used in a year, and I get rid of that. And now I'm making progress every single day. So, that's helped me. I have a bag in my closet. These are things that I'm doing. You don't have to do these, but I have a bag in my closet, and I add things to those that can be reused or given away. So I might not go through all of my clothes and get rid of them all the time, but if there's a shirt and I've had it in there for 6 months or a year and I have not worn it, then I can take that shirt and put it in the bag. And when the bag is full, I put it in the car. And I have feelings about the stuff. I'm not allowed to look at it again. And then if I'm driving past the donation center I go to, I give it to them. If I'm still having feelings about stuff, I'm allowed to leave the bag in the car. I'm just not allowed to go back through it. And I have to process these feelings because they're hard for me. But as I'm doing that, I'm feeling more confident in my ability to get rid of stuff. I just got rid of a bag of old clothes and shoes and an old purse I've never used. And it had value, but not really, not to me. And so I was able to get that bag away. I don't remember anything that was in that bag. And I'm okay with that because I still have plenty of stuff. And if I can't let go of it yet, I'll leave it in my trunk for a couple of days. But it's worked for me, and maybe that's something that can work for you. And here are some things for you to do about your stuff. Declutter and reduce possessions. Focus on owning fewer but higher quality items that truly enhance your life. So if you're going to go for clothes, go through your clothes. I love the technique where you push everything to the left or the right, whichever one you want. And then as you wear stuff, you put it on one side of your closet. And after 6 months, or if you truly are struggling, after a year, whatever's left on the side that you have not worn, you need to make solid decisions about. You need to get rid of all of it or part of it. And, the higher quality things, if you're going to go out and if you're in business, buy yourself maybe one really nice blouse. And then if you need a few more work pieces, go to a thrift store. I'm all about thrifting. When I go on vacation, I'll pack a lighter bag and I'll end up at a thrift store. And then those clothes become a reminder of my vacation and I wear them while I'm there. And I don't pack as much. I don't take as much baggage with me. I don't take everything because having traveled a lot around the world, I know that everywhere has stuff. I also try to prioritize experiences. So I don't want to invest necessarily in having more books because, physical books, I love physical books. I'll buy a book and then I'll give it to somebody else, or I'll try and buy used books. But I want to experience, I want to go down to the beach and walk on the beach with a friend and talk. I want to travel to somewhere like I do. I'll go over to New Zealand and then sail to Fiji with somebody on their boat. And that travel is an experience that I would rather do that every day of the week than have a house full of possessions. And hobbies, obviously we need some stuff for hobbies, but here in LA, we've got tree people. You can go and help them plant trees. And that's such a rewarding experience. Go to your local dog shelter. They need people to walk the dogs. They need people to pet the cats. Go to your local homeless shelter, help them with things, food kitchens, experiences that enrich your life and give you purpose are going to beat out possessions every day of the week. And then think before you buy. I'm a big fan of this. If there's a purchase like a pair of boots, Do I need them? Why do I want them? Do I want them just because they're in style right now? Will I wear them for a while? What's the value? And I always give myself about 2 weeks on a purchase like that. If I find them, I try them on, and then I say, what am I going to wear them with? And then I start to process, what do I already have in my closet? And then after 2 weeks, if I still feel like that's a good purchase, then I'll go through with it. But I give myself time to think before I buy. I never impulse buy. I mean, if I impulse buy, it's usually food, like I'll buy a sandwich or something. But I'm very food focused. So, and then challenge advertising. I taught my daughter this at a very young age. She really wanted this toy that was on TV, and she was probably 6 or 7. And I've always been fascinated with advertising manipulation. And I talked to her about the toy, and I said, why do you want it? And she said, it looks like fun. Well, who would you play it with? We picked out the friends. And then I said, well, what's it look like? And we walked through what it would look like to have that toy. And then she said, I don't think that sounds like that much fun. And I said, I don't think that it would be that much fun, but they really make you want to buy it, don't they? So we started looking at advertising for her to start questioning, are they persuading me to buy this, and why? And I'm going to resist the urge to just buy it. And again, go back to thinking before I buy it. And then really watching out for every purchase you make. What's making me want this? What is the motivation behind this? Do I feel like I'm missing out if I don't buy the latest pair of jeans? Do I feel like I won't fit in if I don't look the most current? Is my identity tied to my possessions, or am I doing all the internal work that I need to do on myself to feel more fulfilled and more whole? And then practice gratitude. I'm a huge fan of the gratitude thing. Be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for how you live. Be thankful for everything that's good in your life. And you'll have a lot less desire to fulfill yourself and feel happier through things like buying more or instant gratification. If you can put off instant gratification and be grateful for what you already have, man, you're beating out more than half the population out there. And then start really looking at alternative lifestyles. I can't tell you the number of people I take to thrift stores around the world that their eyes light up and they're like, I can't believe I found this here. I took a friend of mine who has 2 young sons. They're 17. And he hadn't gone to the thrift stores. He just worked a lot. And he needed to buy them a gift. And I said, this one likes this team. And here's a jersey for that team. It's $7. It's his size. And these usually sell for $130. And it's even throwback. It's 6 years old. So at 17, it's retro almost. And he got that. And there was a hat there that was for the same team that was $7. So for $14, he got a hat and a jersey that would have cost close to $200 bought new. And so it's a new fan of secondhand. Facebook Marketplace, secondhand deals. There's even, I belong to a no-buy Facebook group, which is community-based, neighborhood-based, and you can go on there, and I have this bag of clothes that's size, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, and somebody can come, and they'll just take the whole bag. And then if I needed a suitcase, I put out a notice, I needed a suitcase, and 3 people responded, I've got a suitcase I'm willing to give you. So shop secondhand. And use the systems around you. Use Facebook Marketplace. My daughter has done this before, where friends get together and we have a clothing swap party. Everybody brings a bag of gently worn clothes, and we sit around and we have finger foods, and we look through each other's clothes and we swap clothes. You bring stuff you're willing to get rid of, and you can do a lot. Learn how to fix the things you have. Go to your local fix. If you have a vacuum that broke down, see how much it would cost to get it fixed. You never know. And then rent or borrow. Instead of buying items you only use occasionally, rent or borrow them from friends or local services. Lots of places will rent things to you, and you could rent something for $7 where you would have to buy it for $300, and then you'd have to store it. Repair and upcycle. Learn to repair your belongings and upcycle and DIY projects. You can do a lot more than you think you can. YouTube is an amazing resource. There's tons of answers out there to help you do all this. And then, support local and sustainable businesses. choose to shop at local stores and businesses that prioritize ethical and sustainable practices. And I had a recent talk with somebody about where, don't utilize these online companies where they're saying you're getting the cheapest price. And again, in the show notes, there's going to be documentaries that you can watch that will teach you that a cheaper product is not saving you money. It's costing you in the long term. It doesn't feel that way. It doesn't make sense because we're sold the idea that if you can get it cheaper, it's better. And right now, if I want a book, I'm going to go to a local bookstore. If I want to buy skin cream, I'm going to go to the local store, and it might be a national chain, but they're employing people locally around me. That money is going into those people's pockets who are buying things from other stores that are local. And the more we can support local people and sustainable businesses, the better we all will be, the better you will be, and you won't overconsume. Learn to cook and grow your own food. This is huge. Grow your own food. That's going to be a little limited. I live in Los Angeles in the city, and hydroponics. If I had space, I would probably put up my own garden, but I don't right now because I've been moving around so much. But learning to cook. Come on, there's 100 cooking lessons out there. Saving money on food is not that hard. Cooking is not that hard. And if you can learn to make 3 or 4 good, inexpensive meals, you'll save a ton of money and feel better about it. So cultivate a mindset shift. Find purpose and meaning and joy in your life rather than relying on material possessions for happiness. So listen to some of my other podcasts about resiliency and thriving and self-talk and making friends and building community. Seek connections and community and spend time with loved ones. Engage in meaningful relationships and participate in activities that foster a sense of belonging, and distance yourself from possessions being your identity and the accumulation of possessions being fulfilling, because they're not. And that's something that we've just been sold our whole lives. And then practice generosity, giving back to your community and helping those in need, which can combat materialism and consumerism. Embrace simple living, prioritize experiences, relationships, personal growth over accumulating material possessions. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take 5 things that you need to get rid of and drive them to, Salvation Army is a great organization that does a ton for our communities of underserved people. Give those 5 things away and then go for a walk and listen to a podcast, listen to something motivating and uplifting, and start to feel the reward in the generosity. And then, educate yourself, learn about the environmental and social impact of consumerism and make informed choices. Just like watching the 2 videos that I have attached in the show notes. Understanding more about where the cost is and understanding more how major corporations are trying to manipulate us and control our mind on this topic. Just like anything we do, it's much more about a behavioral problem that can be treated. There's no other way out of our overconsumption. And often we are using shopping to fulfill ourselves, and there are deeper issues at hand. So working towards eliminating your need to shop and your need to hoard, your need to possess, also working on your self-speak, which is another podcast that I have on here. There's free online support and connection if you're truly struggling with this. Never give up on yourself. Use self-compassion. Listen to my podcasts. All of them are about uplifting yourself and getting past some of this stuff, because our purpose in life, and our purpose to be alive, is to live joyful, purposeful lives, to participate in our community, to give back and be a part of our society. And if for some reason you're being held back on all of that, just know that you can learn to let go of some of this, and it feels amazing. I cannot tell you. So start working on your own pile of things. Re-listen to the podcast where I explain why you are keeping too many of these things. Maybe pick one reason why and focus on, am I trying to fill myself up? Am I unhappy in other places? And that's why I have all these possessions. What values have you assigned to those possessions? Are they your family? Are they your boyfriend or girlfriend? Are you allowing all of these things to be a relationship when you're missing true connection in your life? To have less attachment to stuff. It's incredibly freeing to have less possessions. Trust me, I know. I feel so much lighter. Try it even on small things, a box in the back of the closet, and put stuff in it. I also recommend, again, listening to watch these documentaries and check out my show notes. There's all the information in there about the different things that you can do to chip away at this problem. And you're not going to change it overnight. And I don't think that getting rid of 100% of your useless stuff is going to fix it, because you have to have feelings about something and then heal those feelings. And you have to get rid of some more stuff and heal those feelings. Go for a walk, process, journal, meditate, listen to some of my other podcasts. I hope this has been helpful. I know it's a little bit long running. It's something I'm addressing in my own life, being much more minimal and being aware of everything I bring into my world and everything I bring into the world at large. And how much is it going to cost me to keep something? And when I'm able to free myself from the feeling of having too much of this stuff, I feel lighter and happier, and I'm able to focus more outside of myself and do these podcasts. So I hope that helps you today. And I hope if you can just do one thing that moves you forward, you will have done a lot, because a lot of people are sliding backwards. A lot of people are not addressing the problems in their lives, and they're suffering, and I don't want you to suffer. I hope you have a really great day. I hope it's a total day. And I can't wait to have my next episode for you. Take care. Thank you for joining me on Throw Off the Lines. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and extras. And leave a review, share it with someone who needs a total inspiration. You can also find us on Facebook or Instagram and our Throw Off the Lines website. If you want to be a guest or have questions for the host, sign up on the website and we'll get back to you. Until next time, throw off those lines and live your best life.